Mr. Kaminsky.
Here.
Mayor Morgan.
Here.
Mrs. Joffrey. Here. Mr. Cogan.
Here.
Mrs. McKnight. Here.
Salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So public meeting of the Borough Council, Borough of New Providence, County Union, State of New Jersey, and a quick notice has been given in accordance with PL 1975, Chapter 231. That an annual notice or revision was made in conformance with Section 13 of the Act. We have a presentation from Cindy Reese about an update on the new website. Thank you for coming tonight, Cindy.
Thank you for inviting me. We have a presentation.
Cindy, I think the remote's wrong.
Not sure what works what.
I don't think so. Just in case.
I'm not good at shadow puppets, just so you know.
About 4 years out of practice.
That's much better than I could have done. There you go.
That
One
one's-
is on.
That one's on. Nope.
Now it's off.
Oh, he might be.
It says, yeah.
That one
We
is
got
on.
that one.
Now
the
they're
other
good.
one.
Yeah.
Yep,
All right.
11 and 12.
Okay, Cindy,
That makes any difference to anything.
before they go off.
So we've been working very, how many varies was that? Very hard on the new website, which we're very pleased to announce will be launching on July 5th. As a reminder, this is what our current website looks like. It was last redone in 2015, so we've been overdue for a refresh. This is what the new website will look like. This is a screenshot of the homepage, and you can see that it has a much cleaner look. It's much less cluttered. The navigation is simpler, and it's quite different than our current website. The new website has a lot of features that we don't have. First and foremost, it's ADA compliant, which is very important. It has a very intuitive information organization with the way that we have action buttons and tabs across the top. It has a very robust search and advanced search capabilities. We have searchable news and calendars, so you can search by keywords and dates. There are graphic buttons for quick access for information that's most often used on our website. There's an alert bar capability that if something happening in town, we can have an alert bar just on the homepage or on every page of our website as people scroll through. It has adaptable design for phones and tablets so that as you move from your laptop to your phone to your iPad, it will adjust and look good. and it can be translated into 132 languages. Yep. Yep. So for the ADA personalization, depending on what somebody's needs are, they can change things like the font, the spacing, the contrast. They can have things being read to them. They can change the focus. There's a whole menu of what they can do to customize it for their needs. So there are 4 main tabs across the top: government, services, community, and how do I. The government tab has information like agendas and minutes, bid information, boards and committees, borough departments, elections and voting information, mayor and borough council, ordinances, registrar of vital statistics, resolutions, and videos. The services tab has community activities, contact us or report an issue, directory of services, emergency services and information, forms and documents, garbage, library, parking, police, recycling, seniors, Smart 911, and veteran services. The community tab has things like annual calendar, the borough newsletters, business community information, community activities, community bulletin board, employment, FAQs, links and resources, online business and payment center, OPRA requests, parks and facilities, project updates, schools, seniors, and volunteer. And the final tab has categories to find out how do you apply for things, how do you contact people and departments and committees, where do you find information, how do you locate some of our facilities, the online business and payment center, how you sign up for things, and how do you submit requests. There's an enhanced search feature, so that main search bar that you see in the middle of the home page is going to be there on every page you scroll through the website. So if you're not finding what you're looking for, you can simply search for it. The search has also an advanced search feature. You can search by exact words or phrases. You can narrow the results by the content type, whether it's an agenda that you know you're looking for, or documents, forms, web pages, etc. So it's much more enhanced than what we currently have. As you scroll further down on the homepage, there is a news column and a calendar. The calendar actually has 3 calendars: a main calendar that has all the information. We have a meetings and events tab that you can just simply then on graphic buttons that can help you easily access the most widely used information. So we have forms and documents, garbage and recycling, online business and payments, community activities, contact us, and notify me. The contact us button is very much like our current action line. It gives us trackable messaging. You can contact us about applications and registrations. You can contact borough departments, boards and committees, mayor and council, garbage and recycling issues or questions, and you can request a service or repair. Notify me is something new. Users can create an account and then subscribe to various updates, things like tax reminders, upcoming agendas for our boards and borough council meetings. You can get alerts about garbage and recycling or weather updates, police updates. It does not replace Smart 911 emergency messaging, but it's just kind of I would like to be informed about ongoing business. If there are bid postings, you could be notified about that, upcoming calendar events, meetings, recycling dates, and any kind of job opportunities that we might have. The website, although we're launching it on the 5th, it will be continually updated. We'll refine it as we go. We think that it's great as we launch it, but like everything, as we start to use it, we'll be tweaking it and changing things. And we appreciate everyone's patience as we go through that process. And we would like, if anybody finds any errors or issues, please contact us.
Just a quick question on the notify me page. When I was tooling around in it, it asked me to create an account if I wanted to click on something, and I think that's probably the right thing to do, right? If you're going to be a user of the website, you should create your own profile so it's more customized to when you're using it.
Right. So it's not, so when you create an account, it helps for the notify me that you can choose what you would like to subscribe for. But also if you want to submit like what used to be an action line, but submit a request, it will autofill name, address, and that kind of stuff. So it saves information. If you don't want to create an account, you don't have to. You can simply use the services directory to call. But if you want a response, yeah, you have to register.
I'd like to point out the mobile version is also
Oh, good.
quite amazing, right? So I'm assuming that launches on the 5th as well.
Yes, it
So
all
that-
launches on the
It's
5th.
not like looking at an old
No.
website. It's definitely
No, it's all launching.
Yeah, and I just wanted to thank you again. I know the borough and the borough employees have been working really hard to migrate everything. And just a reminder to the public, this is not just a website that's informational for the public. It is what, 90%, 75, 80% what the borough uses to do our daily basis of work. So one of the things that will happen on July 5th is hopefully just a seamless transition for every borough employee. And I know that we're also going to be working very hard to look at every single tab and go through that with the borough, and Cindy's working really closely with us. And just a shout out and thank you to all the people who've already reached out to us to tell us, other council members and myself, what they like, what they usually use, which I think is represented by some of the buttons in addition to the analytics.
Yeah.
So.
I would just like to echo Councilwoman Belisca's thoughts and thank you again for your hard work
Thank
on
you.
this, as well as the communication committee. You've done a wonderful job, I think, and look forward to utilizing it. The one question I would have though is this was a great presentation. How do we get this word out to the community so that they know that our website is the authoritative source for information? Because that's where the best information is. And I think sometimes people go in different directions, and I think it's important they know that this tool is out there for them.
Well, we're always reminding people the official sources of borough information, the website, it's in all the newsletters, it's on the downtown bulletin board. We'll probably have an article posted on the website and on tap about the new website coming up. But I mean, for people who use the website, they're not going to, one day they're going to log on and see this, and hopefully they'll just continue using it like they do.
Yeah, it may be an opportune time to have a real campaign as far as making sure that the
Okay.
community knows that this resource is out there and they can become familiar with it. Thank you.
Great.
I think that's a good point, because even this week with all the paving that went on and the milling and people, no matter how much information you get, I was getting phone calls and saying, I'm not really the guy that can help you.
Right.
You really have to contact the administration, or you go in action line, or contact DPW, because they're the ones who are handling the people who are doing the paving and milling. So it's an easier way, and you'll get a quicker response if you do that. So I
Well,
think this is great.
the good thing about
it's a big improvement.
Yes, and the good thing about the new website is they can check off notify me about road updates
Yeah.
and just get subscribe and get the updates as we post them.
Right.
I think a lot of people will like that. It'll
Yep.
just come directly to them, either
That's
by
right.
text or by email, right?
Whatever they choose.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
you can get 15 emails on, or
right.
15 different notifications on the same piece of information if you want.
Yeah, we've come a long way. I mean, I know our website, years and years ago, won awards for the information that we provide to the public. And there were communities that were, praising us, right, for being so
Yep.
abundant with, all of the information that we share with the public, right? But pretty much everything's an open book, right? So you can log into our website and there's tons and tons of data. Sometimes, right? Sometimes it got to a point where, there were links to dead spaces, right? Things of that nature. And I've been on this committee 2 out of 4 years, and I know that of those 3 of those 4 years, we've pretty much been working on to get to where we're at.
Yes, this has been a
Not
very
because
long
it was-
process.
Mostly not because it was very difficult to get to this point. There were other extenuating circumstances, right?
Right.
Our original web provider was someone that we thought was going to help us, and that didn't work out very well. And we had to basically start over, and all of the departments, right, had to literally go through all of the information,
Yes.
right, which was a lot of stuff. Some of it, relevant that needed to be up front, some of it not so much relevant that needed to be in the back. And so they did a lot of work across.
It
the
was
board.
really a Herculean effort by everyone at the borough. All the departments went through all of their information, all of their files, all of their pages.
Agreed. Yeah, so I just want to say
Mhm.
thank you very much, and for everyone that was involved for over the years, really, because it was a lot, and
Thank you.
really looking forward to it. And like you said, it's I'm sure people will be trying to do things on the new website and say, hey, this didn't work or this isn't, and please, come right to the source, right? Go right to right to us on the site. Just contact us. Say, hey, I
Right.
just noticed this, or does this look right? Right, and we're happy to look at it and improve it even more. But again, it looks awesome. I'm really excited for the community, and thank you very much for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. I
Thank you.
guarantee somebody won't like it.
Okay, let's move on. We're gonna go a little bit out of order because I want to welcome Rabbi Friedman here. Abe, thanks for coming, and Sunil, our diversity chairman, thank you. I see Yolanda's here, and it's great. And I need a motion for resolution 205, please.
I'll make a motion for resolution 205.
Second,
Second.
roll call, please.
Mrs. Belisca?
Aye.
Mr. DeSarno?
Aye.
Mr. Kaminsky?
Aye.
Mrs. Jaffray?
Yes.
Mr. Cogan?
Yes.
Mrs. McKnight?
Yes.
Okay, if I run you come up and you're gonna read it from there?
I didn't print one out.
Oh.
Here.
I can,
Okay.
It's attached to the.
It's this right here.
want me to read it?
Yeah, read it.
Okay.
Just pull your mic a little closer.
Yes. Okay. Resolution of the Borough of New Providence, resolution number 2023, titled Resolution Recognizing the Growing Problem of Anti-Semitism in America and Calling for the Adoption of Educational Tools to Address it. Councilman Cogan, myself submitted the resolution, which was duly sponsored, seconded by Councilperson Kaminsky. Thank you. Whereas anti-Semitism, which includes harassment on the basis of actual perceived Jewish origin, ancestry, ethnicity, identify, affiliation, or faith, remains as a persistent, pervasive, and disturbing problem in American society. And whereas Jews continue to be targeted minority in the United States, throughout the world, and consistently the religious groups that has been most victimized by incidents of hate, and such incidents are increasing at an alarming rate. And whereas the Mayor and Borough Council of New Providence acknowledge that the following attacks of the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, the Highway in San Diego County, California, a kosher supermarket in Jersey City, and a gathering in Muncie, New York, synagogues throughout the United States felt compelled to reevaluate their own security measures to keep their congregations safe. And whereas recent American Jewish Community Report from 2020 entitled The State of Anti-Semitism in America found more than 1 in 3 American Jews, 37%, say they have been victims of anti-Semitism over the past 5 years. And whereas defining anti-Semitism increases awareness in the community, leading to the better monitoring and reporting, more informed analysis and investigation incidents in order to enhance public safety and policy making. And whereas the Mayor and Borough Council is committed to cultivating an inclusive community and ending the spread of hate, bigotry, and harassment based on race, color, religion, national origin, ethnicity, sex, gender, gender identity, and expression, sexual orientation, disability, or any other protected characteristic as defined by law. And whereas valid monitoring, informed analysis, and investigation and effective policymaking all benefit from the accurate, uniform definitions. And whereas the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, known as the IHRA, by consensus vote of its member states adopting working definition of anti-Semitism in May 2016, which has become the internationally recognized authoritative definition of anti-Semitism used by governments and international organizations, the IHRA working definition. That definition reads in full: anti-Semitism is a certain perception of Jews, which may be expressed as hatred towards Jews, rhetorical and physical manifestation of anti-Semitism as directed toward Jewish and non-Jewish individuals or their property, toward Jewish community institutions and religious facilities. And whereas the IHRA working definition has proven to be an essential tool used to help determine contemporary manifestations of anti-Semitism. And whereas in the United States, the IHRA working definition is utilized by various government agencies, including the United States Department of State, the U.S. Department of Education, and can be utilized by law enforcement and other local agencies in the monitoring, training, and education. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Mayor and Borough Council of New Providence, New Jersey, that Section 1, the Borough Council of the Borough of New Providence endorses and adopts the non-legally binding International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, IHRA, working definition in full. Section 2, the Borough Council of New Providence will work to ensure that the IHRA working definition is available as an educational resource for all borough departments and staff responsible for addressing anti-Semitism and other forms of discrimination. Be it further resolved that the municipal clerk of the Borough of New Providence be and hereby is directed to send a copy of this resolution to the Governor of the State of New Jersey, the President of the State of New Jersey, the New Jersey State Senate, the Speaker of the Assembly of the State of New Jersey, the Borough State and Federal elective representatives, and the Union County Board of County Commissioners. Be it further resolved that proper borough official be hereby are authorized to take whatever actions are appropriate in the execution and discharge of this resolution.
They're not easy to read, are they?
I forgot my glasses too, so.
Why don't we take a picture?
Sure.
With,
Not so easy, is it?
yeah, Sunil? Yelena? Here's before you write it. Oh, no. Yeah, let's go in front of the seal. I don't know tonight. Thank you very much. Sure.
I won't be long. I know how long these meetings can go, regardless of town or borough. So, Mr. Mayor, Mr. President, members of the council, thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. Although I'm not a resident of New Providence, I feel a special connection to the borough. As there's no synagogue within the borders of New Providence, many Jewish residents find their way to my congregation in Summit for worship. And I've been honored to be a part of New Providence Interfaith Thanksgiving service since its inception. And of course, the interfaith menorah lighting at Faith Lutheran might be my favorite moment on the calendar.
The food's good too.
It's true. It's true. So I just want to say we can't fix the whole world, right? But we can make a statement right here in our little corner. And that's what you've done here this evening. We have made a statement against anti-Semitism. We know that anti-Semitic violence always starts with anti-Semitic words and anti-Semitic ideas. How many times have we heard people say, oh, I'm not anti-Semitic, I am friends. And so by adopting a resolution like this, clearly defining what anti-Semitism is, allows us to say, no, sir, no, ma'am, your words are anti-Semitic and they are dangerous. So thank you for giving our community this tool, which will raise awareness and hopefully bring a modicum of safety and confidence and comfort to the Jewish community.
Thank you, Rabbi. In our proper time, it's Pride Month, and New Providence is a community that promotes tolerance, acceptance, and inclusivity to all residents. And the United States as a whole is becoming more diverse every year. And I always say we have more in common than we do in differences And we should always look at the commonality instead of differences. We're all Americans. And you know what? Labeling people is probably the thing we could do. And we all got to come together. This country is pulling apart. And I think we really, really have to look at where we're going. And, you know, we always said after 9/11, you saw this country come together as one. And somehow, over the last 22 years, we've lost that. And I think we have to get back to basics. You know, liberty, justice, respect for all. And that's what it's all about. Sunil, your committee, diversity committee has made great strides in this town. Unity Day has been growing and growing and growing for the past 5 years. And I remember the first year you said, Mr. Mayor, we didn't get the turnout we thought. And what did I say? Every year it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And you know what's really good about it? Is that I see younger generation getting more and more involved. And it's really a heartwarming thing to see. So at that point, that's all I have to say. Does anybody else want to say? No? Okay. Once again, thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing you soon. Okay. Let's go to correspondence. Jersey Central Power and Light, verified petition to increase composite rider, RRC rate, New Providence Fire Department, membership leave of absence for Jessica Seeb, New Providence Fire Department, membership resignation to Van Lynch, and we want to thank him for his cooperation and his volunteerism. Union County Clerk, public notice of meeting schedules. Any comments? Seeing none, we'll go to council business. Pete, community activities.
Resolution 2023 185 is a salary resolution appointing Callie Pucci as a STEM class counselor for the summer camp program at a rate of $15 an hour. Resolution 2023-186 is a resolution appointing Beth Conti as part-time program coordinator for the Community Activities Department for the Borough of New Providence. This is a resolution appointing Beth as part-time program coordinator at the DeCorso Center at a rate of $20 per hour, not to exceed 25 hours per week, beginning on Monday, August 14th. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Engineering.
Engineering, thank you, Mayor. Resolution 2023-187, approval to submit a grant application and execute a grant contract with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the Maple Street Improvement Project. This is the 2023 NJDOT grant project that will address drainage issues on Maple from Central Avenue to the trestle. The grant application seeks to reduce the width of Maple from 40 feet to 32 feet, from Central to Mountain, to accomplish traffic calming on this section of Maple, in addition to working in conjunction with the 2022 sidewalks to be placed between Central and the Fells Way. Resolution 2023-188, a resolution to adopt procedures for administration and inspection of federal aid highway projects. This is adopting a policy entitled New Providence Borough Procedure for Administration and Inspection of Federal Highway Projects, in conjunction with administering the 2022 SRTS grant. There's a memo from the Director of Planning and Development. This is for 3 purchases of part of furniture replacement and upgrades to the second floor in the municipal center that was planned in the 2018 through 2021 capital budgets. Resolution 2023-189, resolution approving purchase requisition for Global Furniture Group in them to exceed $5,310.48 furniture under the ESC&J contract 22-23-08. This is requesting permission to purchase 10 conference room chairs for the second floor 6 of the 10 chairs in the room have been given to the police department, as many of their chairs have been thrown away due to breakage. Resolution 2023-190, resolution approving purchase requisition for AIS Inc. in the amount not to exceed $9,428.58 for office furniture under state contract 9-food-0086. This is approving purchase of laminate standing desks with locking storage cabinets and files for the administrator's office. Resolution 2023-191, resolution approving purchase requisition for grade openings in the amount not to exceed $2,116.48. Again, for office furniture under state contract A81631, approving purchase of locking file cabinets for the administrator's office. Resolution 2023-192, resolution accepting the proposal of Colliers Engineering and Design, Inc. for professional surveying services regarding NJDOT 2023 Maple Street and Union Avenue improvements. This just is allowing us to proceed with the contract with Colliers in order to do that project.
Okay, thank you. Lisa, finance.
Thank you, Mayor. We have Resolution 2023-193. It's a resolution providing for the insertion of any special item of revenue in the 2022 budget pursuant of NJS 40A 4-87, Chapter 150L 1948. This is the National Opioid Settlement 2023. This is the insertion of $1,772.28 from the Jensen opioid settlement. So this is the third payment. The borough previously received $952.55 and $2,285.87 in December of 2022. Resolution 2023-194 is a resolution authorizing the payment of the attached bills payable list. The amount is $724,454.43. Most significant items include $291.685 to the Garden State Municipal JIF for the final 2023 insurance payment, and $190,307 to Mountain Valley Dispatch for the third quarter installment.
Just real quick on that opioid settlement, did we get any guidance yet on how we could spend that money?
We just had some guidance last week from the state, and they've set out what some of the possible things that we can use it for, but they don't give us any directives. So evidently next month they'll be launching a portal where people can put in their projects, and you can kind of see what other people are using it for ideas. We've been in contact with both the school district and our emergency service people for using it for Narcan or educational purposes at this point.
Looking forward to putting that to work.
Good. Okay, resolution 195 is the issuance of a primary redistribution license to Wine Outlet. 196 is appointing Kevin Gutierrez of the police department for step 7 on the guide. 197 is the purchase of Central Square for $9,815, and that's for records management for the fire department. 198 is authorizing consulting services Scott Ruff, and he is going to help us. He was instrumental in the formation of the shared dispatch. Since we're going to county dispatch, he is going to consult us leading the Mountain Valley Dispatch Center. 199 is purchase requisition for Enforcers Inc., and that's for the police department's records management system. Resolution 200 for Quick Text, and that's a vendor to build a standalone network to extract our information, our current information from the Mountain Valley Dispatch. Resolution 201 is Motorola Inc., and it's approving 6 additional digital radios for the fire department that is from the 2022 budget. Okay, Public Works, Alex.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution 202, resolution advancing Michael Giamella to Step B in the Public Works Department of the Borough of New Providence. Approving Michael Giamella to advance to Step B on a salary guide is approved with the collective bargaining agreement. Mike started as a roadman in DPW in May of 2022 and has successfully acquired his CDL Class A license. Resolution 203, resolution advancing Ali Denis Kurdu to Step F in the Public Works Department of the Borough of New Providence. This is approving Ali Denis Kurdu to advance to Step F on a salary guide as approved with the collective bargaining agreement. Resolution 204, resolution approving an application to the New Jersey Department of Agriculture, Division of Plant Industry for a 2023 spotted lanternfly chemical treatment grant. This is the borough to apply for the grant.
Okay. We have a discussion item on Union Avenue sidewalk. I think we all saw the memo from Chief Henn. I'm always guided by the police department and the public safety. I know there's a lot of residents that have been asking for a crossing guard there. And, as you read, that he figures it's most effective to put a sidewalk there up to the crossing guard up at Hillary, which quite honestly makes sense. There's a sightline problem with that curve over by Klein Boulevard. So does anybody else have any other discussions on it?
I agree with you. I think it makes sense, and they're professionals, right? And their recommendation is to move forward with those sidewalks. And I looked at it. This is a no-brainer in my opinion.
There's a current crossing guard at Hillary, correct?
Yes.
Yes, but that sight line, if you recall how the street goes, it zigs.
Oh,
Yes.
that's true, yeah.
Yeah.
So that is, where they want to move the sidewalk. So the crossing guard is at Hillary. This will direct the children from Klein Boulevard up to Hillary. The residents originally wanted the crossing guard down at Klein Boulevard.
Yeah, that
But
doesn't
the
make
problem
sense.
there is the sight line. So it's safer for the students to walk up to Hillary and go with the existing crossing guard.
Yeah, as a pedestrian, you don't see the cars,
don't.
and as a driver, you don't see the pedestrians.
No.
So
The
That's a
same
safest
problem
call.
exists over at Pittsburgh Way
Yes.
on Springfield Avenue. And I know, I guess you sent it, the action line to the police department about, the resident once said, well, we have flashing beacons, we have advanced beacons there, and he said it's dangerous for kids to cross there. Well, he's supposed to be walking down to Maple Street where there's a crossing guard. It's only a block away. So, there's only so many crossing guards. They're hard to come by, to be honest with you. But that makes sense too. Stay on the sidewalk, walk an extra block or so, and go where the crossing guard is. Okay. Committee reports. I just want to say we've met with the police department, fire department, and we've discussed about leaving the dispatch center and going with Union County. All things are a go. We talked about this crossing, and we also talked about the Arrive program, and that's working out very well. They've been in our police cars a couple times already. We haven't gotten any calls for it, but it seems to be working out very well. The only other thing I just want to say, and I brought it up previously, was the paving. If your street's getting paved and something gets messed up like the Belgian block or the landscaping, the paving company, they mill it, they pave it. Then they have another crew to fix any broken Belgian block, and they have another different crew that comes back to take care of the landscape. Okay, so if you have a problem, please contact the Action Line or Department of Public Works so they can put it and we have it on record and they can take care of it at the appropriate time. That's all I have. Diane.
Thank you, Mayor. We talked about communications, and again, kudos to our borough employees that have worked so hard. And just remember, everybody be patient. They are our friends and our neighbors. Legal and regulatory, we are working on the Cablecast franchise agreement. So we're working hard on that. We're still researching and gathering information. Just to remind everyone, there will be a public hearing in September at our Borough Council meeting in September. In the meantime, if anybody has any comments or wants to provide any information about their experience with Comcast, please reach out to myself or Pete DeSarno. And the Downtown Improvement District, we had a meeting today. You might notice some construction vehicles in front of Starbucks and Chipotle. They are actually paving that, which was probably now and usually during the rain, a muddy area. That will become pavers, and there will be bicycle racks. So anybody who has kids drive their bikes down there, please remind them to park their bikes in that area once the bike racks are there. And then also kudos to the DID because they sponsor many events that we do in New Providence, including the soon-to-be summer concert series. So support local.
Okay, some big stuff from community activities. The Borough Fireworks Celebration on July 3rd. That will be live at NP Fuel starting at 7 o'clock. South Street will be closed for sidewalk chalk and giveaways. And the fireworks will be launched when it's dark at approximately, 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock, that is. Recreation summer programs are in full swing. There's still room in some of our more camps, including playgrounds, soccer, tennis, and cricket, and registration Unity Pass on our recreation website. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete.
The planning board was canceled this week, so nothing further from them. I did want to note on the dispatch. So some of the things that we've approved today, we've budgeted for as part of the transition, and it's actually even under budget of what we budgeted, which is great. And just remind everyone that once we move over to the new dispatch, right, the new dispatch in Union County will be charging us significantly less than what we were paying for our shared services originally. So that's all good news. I just wanted to mention that. But other than that, business as usual.
Thank you. Nadine?
Sorry, that's my second child. She has, even though I put the phone on mute, I have that feature where she still breaks through, so.
What?
But just text it, yeah,
That's a thing?
that's the thing.
Wow.
I didn't know that.
You can
Yeah,
set,
I don't want to know it.
you can set certain contacts, so even if you have them on mute,
Didn't know that.
so hopefully she gets the I'm in a meeting message. So thank you, Mayor. So as we are, I wanted to give an update on a couple of ways that this was recognized. So our focus was on awareness and education. Our Municipal Alliance worked with the department on student outreach. They reached out to the GSA, which is the Gay Straight Alliance at the high school, and provided information for them about Hudson Pride. Hudson Pride is a 501c3 community-based organization in Jersey City who provides a large variety of services and programming to LGBTQ+ youth. We also offered to create programs for them here in New Providence, but they did not have the ability to do that this year, as the club leadership were seniors and busy with year-end events. We are aiming to work with the new president next year. We will also be teaming up with the diversity committee next year to add to the programming and possibly either as a part of our Unity Day or a separate event or larger awareness campaign. The GSA was invited to Unity Day this year, but again, due to senior activities, leadership could not participate. In addition to that, there is a flag on the door of the recreation entrance of the Municipal Center. Thank you to Allison Smith and Liz Lee for all of their efforts. Other events were also available to our residents. Union County held a Pride in the Park event in Plainfield this last Saturday, and Summit had an event in June as well. So I hope our residents took advantage of those great opportunities. Very often we do collaborate with other towns to just give our residents the best opportunity to have events as possible. On a separate note, I wanted to highlight Adams Shopping Center. and thank Joe Savino for the rainbow light display that has been up all month in awareness of Pride Month. It's kind of hard to see because the red is a little bit separate from the rest of the rainbow, but it's a wonderful display, and I want to thank Joe Savino. Another example of business and community working together. Our diversity committee, our monthly meeting was last night. We discussed the wrap up on the Unity Fair event. We discussed feedback and things to improve for next year. And this will be part of an event summary that we are putting together and we're keeping on file. We will be asking all of our committees to do this going forward. We also discussed our next upcoming event, which will be Hispanic Heritage Month, which is in October. Planning is starting, so stay tuned. And last but not least, I would like to recognize two of our recent graduates from the high school. Aiden Barth and Abigail Franco are this year's recipients of the Junior League of Summits Gene Hudson Gano Award for their continued work with the Link Resource Pantry. I just wanted to read that really fast. So this award is given annually to recognize special volunteer achievement by either an individual or a nonprofit organization. It is given in memory of Gene Hudson Gano, a JLS member who died of breast cancer in May of 1997. Gene's exemplary and extraordinary commitment to volunteerism, community service, and particularly to issues regarding women and children was an inspiration to all those who were touched by her efforts. So again, I just want to congratulate them on this is a very, very well-deserved honor and award. So for those of you who are aware, the Link Resource Pantry is located right at the United Methodist Church. They serve a number of families on a monthly basis. They provide a monthly food distribution, and they are providing a great service to our residents. We want to thank them. And their new website was just launched. So anybody who needs services, or if you know of anybody who needs services, please refer them to linknj.org. The website is outstanding and would be a great tool for anybody who needs it. So again, congratulations to Aiden, and that's enough.
Okay,
Can I
Alex.
add a little
Yes,
bit
yeah,
just
yeah.
to that? OLP has a sandwich ministry and we just broke, but we donate weekly to Link/CSA. So there's another community tie-in and it's a great opportunity.
And the third time the CSA does month funding.
Yes,
to
they
Link.
do. They do.
So
And that's so instrumental because now they are able to provide fresh produce. They provide some meats. So from the very beginning of when they did their distributions to now, it's taken off greatly. And I think the retail value of the distribution is almost $200 for each family that gets that.
And it's
they-
in town.
In town, New Providence residents who need assistance or close by. And it's just an outstanding service. So we're so proud of those two recent graduates and can't wait to see how much better and bigger that service gets.
and as part of the community garden, we also donate fresh produce to
That's true. as well.
OLP
Yeah.
and to Link. So thank you to all the gardeners that
Tie-ins
have
So much
everywhere.
synergy.
excess.
So much
produce.
synergy, working together.
Alex,
Just on the engineering and public works, as you said, Mayor, I just want to read the amount of paving that's going on through town, whether it's the borough doing the paving, whether it's the PSENG or the water company. It's a mess most of the time, but the result is phenomenal. Just driving through town. Also, shout out to Ralph. I saw him personally directing traffic, yelling at the paving company, and really getting stuff moving along. So I know the cliche is no pain, no gain. It's very difficult, inconvenient, but the end result I think is phenomenal. So thank you everyone for your patience.
I am amazed, really, with the way Bernadette and Marie, the engineer, have worked with the utility companies. You know, utility companies will pave half the road. That's horrible. So you the roads paved with the money had. So
And the other thing, Mayor, as you said earlier, please call if there's a problem.
Yeah.
They're willing to fix it. It's not.
Yeah,
The more information we can provide, the better. So.
right. Okay.
And PSA don't speed on these new nice roads.
Lisa,
Alrighty, I'm gonna start with the library board. So at the last meeting, we received a correspondence from some residents that filed what we would call a request to reconsider library materials. And the library board or the library director and the library association does have a policy that we follow. And that's why when we read the correspondence here, we kicked it back to the library. So I just kind of want to touch on that a little bit. So the policy is that the library director, Stacy Maish, she collects 3 published reviews. She completes a written analysis of the book, and then she forwards that to the collection review committee. I was part of the collection review committee. There were 3 other residents on that committee with me. We read the book, we reviewed the materials, we discussed the book under consideration, and we met with the patron. Now, we had 2 did come in and meet with us. The other patron never did follow up with us. So after a lot of thoughtful consideration, the committee did recommend not to remove the materials from the library. The point is that we felt that individuals should be trusted to make their own decisions about what they read. Yes, parents should be aware of what their children are checking out of the library and what they're looking at. One of the issues was the placement of the book. They wanted it moved to, right now it's in the young adult section. They wanted it moved to the adult section, but that would be counterintuitive. That would actually put the book closer to the children's section. Where it is right now is the perfect spot. It's as far away from the front door as it could possibly be. And to be honest, the book just has very little traction up until when I was the first person that checked it out. We've had it since September. No one really was that interested in it. But the bottom line is that the public library's purpose is to provide free access to information for everyone without restriction. And we're not going to stand in the way of that. So that was and the library board then voted collectively, and it was a unanimous decision not to remove that book. So that was that. Also, as far as the library goes, I know I love to tout like all the different things they do. So right now they have a photo display. 40 artists have taken pictures from around the world. These are our own residents. They're not professional photographers, but if you looked at the work, you would think they were professional photos. They're stunning and they're beautiful. So please go take a look at them. And we are in the process of meeting with a design company and an architect. We're undergoing a conceptual planning design to kind of reconfigure the library a little bit. So the goal is to improve resident or patron engagement, community involvement, inspire folks to come into the library and use it a little bit more. So maybe like some huddle rooms, really listened to what our residents are asking for, and we're going to try and incorporate that into the new design of the library. Lastly, I just wanted to do a little side note. We have a patron, I'll just give her first name, it's Viviane. And you know that the library has the used bookstore downstairs called Afterwards. This woman, Viviane, what she does is she goes down there and she buys up all the books that nobody wants, and she ships them to Ghana, and she has filled an entire library in Ghana on her own time. So we're going to try and figure out a way of how because the shipping costs are kind of steep. It's nice to know that when you're donating a library book or any kind of book, it might end up at a library in Ghana. So kind of interesting. Then we had the beautification committee met, and I just wanted to give a little update on that. So we were talking about Centennial Park the last time we met, and we got a nice little tree lesson on Centennial Park. Matt and I and Gail Cronin from the beautification committee. We met with Jeff Grove, who was one of the architectural engineers for the park. And the park is 20 plus years old. It's the front lawn of Lincoln School, brainchild of Mayor Al. And together with Jeff Grove and others, they designed and planned this beautiful park. From what we learned, it was all volunteer townwide event. The only thing that the borough paid for was the sidewalks, the concrete sidewalks.
They didn't pay for them.
No, Jeff said it was somebody donated those as well?
It came out of the donations.
Nice.
We had grants from the state. Yeah.
So local contractors, local electricians, architects, it was a total town-wide effort, which is amazing. So like I said, 20 years plus, refresh. We're going to put together a list of, short-term, intermediate-term, long-term projects that we would like to see for that park. Immediate is the gazebo is slated to be repaired, hopefully before the concert series starts. So that would be nice. But some of the things that we looked at, and this is in no particular order, cleaning up and trimming the trees, maybe up, doing some lights or up lights around them, clean up the framed mulch areas with some fencing, plant perennials with lots of color that don't need a lot of care, because that's the problem, getting the stuff watered. So something that thrives without too much water. Replacing the slats on the benches, power washing, programmable LED lights around the gazebo and the trees, concrete chess tables. I know it sounds like a long list, Bernadette, don't get nervous. But this is like our wish list, right? So we're going to prioritize short-term, long-term, and we'll figure it out. And this is all with the help of Jeff Grove, so I want to thank him as well. So hopefully we'll get some of those projects underway. And we would also like to, maybe get some help from some volunteer organizations in town, the Scouts, so that we can really put a concerted effort for Memorial Day and 9/11. We had the Girl Scouts one year plant mums, so we would like to pursue that as well.
Okay. Bernadette, you're up.
So as a follow-up to Councilwoman McKnight, the gazebo is scheduled for re-roofing next week. The railings are on order. We hope to have them around the 10th. We have a painter that will come in hopefully prior to the 13th, when the summer concert series begins. Sometimes it's out of our control, so when the railings come, they come, but they are on order, and we're hoping that they will be in time for that. And just a quick correction for Councilwoman Belisca, the DID does have overlap with the BPA, which is the business community, but the business community sponsors the concerts, not the DID.
Oh, they just contribute though.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yep.
If I said sponsor.
Yep. So hopefully we'll have that all straightened out in the next few weeks. And then paving, as we just continue to talk about, we're permitting that will wrap up this week. They have really been trying to squeeze it in between the raindrops, which has been nothing short of miraculous, because it just seems like all it does is rain. The 2022 NJDOT project, which was Bromley Court, Fairmont, and Woodcrest, is wrapping up. There's a few punch list items left on those. The sanitary sewer lining project, as we discussed, was awarded at last council meeting. We're hoping to get that underway in the very short term. And we also have a Borough Hall sanitary line replacement project that is underneath the shared dispatch center that we need to take some corrective action on. And then the 2023 NJDO grant should be getting shortly, as well as we're doing a shared service with Summit for the Division Avenue project that they're spearheading. So they're going to run the project, and we're just going to be overseeing what they're doing on our side of the street. That's about it for now.
Since the name Division Avenue.
Exactly.
Okay, this is the opportunity of the public to be heard. Anybody wishing to address council? Yeah, Mike.
Can I give everybody a copy? Okay. Might as well be informed.
Thank you.
I love the shirt.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for giving me the opportunity to present to you. My name is Mike Balmer. I live in New Providence. And what I'm here to talk about is that pickleball is one of the fastest growing sports, if not the fastest in America. And however, we have no courts to play on in town. With the exception, almost everybody on this side here is a product of the recreation department's pickleball. So we're all in the same boat. That ended have got no place to play. So anyway, what I wanted to talk about was one of the other towns' solution, one of our neighboring towns' solutions to this, which is a pretty simple solution. The town I'm going to talk about is Madison. They've got 6 pickleball courts, or I'm sorry, they've got 6 tennis courts right next to the high school. All right? That's where the high school tennis team plays. All of those 6 tennis courts are also marked pickleball. You've got 2 pickleball courts per tennis court. All right? But the point is, these are the high school plays on these tennis courts. They also can play pickleball there. So I'm thinking if Madison can do it, we could do it. And it's just honestly, it's just a matter of painting pickleball lines. So you'd have 2 sets of white, 1 perhaps yellow. And that's all it is. In New Providence here, the way, if people are familiar with the tennis courts, we've got 2 enclosures of 4 courts each. All right? And I appreciate that if you'd be willing to paint all the courts. But I know things need to go gradually. So the high school tennis, when they play, the varsity plays 5 matches at a time. We have 8 courts. All right? So my thought is you could leave 1 full enclosure of 4 courts completely untouched. They'd still be pure tennis. The other enclosure could, if you would decide to paint lines on 2 of the tennis courts, you'd still have 2 other tennis courts that would not be touched, making 6. They only need 5. So my point is, there's a lot of people in this town who are interested in tennis, and I think it's great. But I think there's no reason why pickleball can't be accommodated as well. I think tennis and pickleball are really like brothers. Very, very similar sports. So I'd appreciate it if you give this some serious thought. I think painting the lines, I know in the master plan, there's talk of building new courts and all that, which, that would be great. Just as an aside, Morris Township has 6 separate pickleball courts only with fences around them. That's ideal, but that's unrealistic. That's money. Painting lines, I think, is a very inexpensive way to address this situation, and quickly, And also for people who are recently retired, it's a great for any of those people. And I strongly encourage you all to try it already, because in addition to being a good sport, it's really social and really so. Thanks.
Well, Mike, I appreciate you coming to me. I chat with the mayor. We discussed all
Yeah,
this.
yeah. Alan,
And I did
so.
bring it up to Bernadette and to Allison. I know we have an agreement with the Board of Education with the tennis courts. And quite honestly, I don't know that much about pickleball. leave it up to them, what they recommend. But I know we did put $50,000 to the side for pickleball courts in the future.
But see, that's down, down the road. I think painting lines is a real simple solution. And my point is, if one town can do it, then why can't another? And it's not just Madison. You're going to hear very shortly, Westfield is doing exactly the same thing as Madison. So,
May I comment real quick? So
Um,
I'll just comment. So my wife happens to be the head boys coach in New Providence.
okay,
Um,
good.
So just on the comment on the 5 courts, most of the time you're right. For the varsity players, they 5 courts at any given time. But sometimes there's more. It depends on the team that they're playing. But sometimes they will bring a larger team and they'll need to use all courts. I do agree with you that I'm sure some kind of happy compromise can be made where 2 of the courts or 3 of the courts. But as the mayor said, it would be with the Board of Ed and the rec department making sure that that's okay. But as you said, there's precedent in other towns. I'm sure they play varsity tennis there as well, and I'm sure you can share the court equally. But and I support your. My wife's a pickleball instructor as well, so I know the sport pretty well.
Excellent. Great.
Unfortunately, like you, we don't have too many opportunities to play in New Providence. We go to Berks or LBI, but I'm sure. I think a happy medium can be found, whether it's on the tennis courts or perhaps even at other locations in town. I know several basketball courts can be converted to pickleball courts. It's a matter of lines, in my opinion.
I don't think it's as good of a solution, but there is that basketball setup that's next to the pool that, it's something fenced in. That looks to me like that's a pretty popular program. And I just leave that the way, if I was calling the shots, I'd leave that the way it was.
What we do, I think you will be fighting with the purist tennis players that don't want to give in yet and move to pickleball. but it's a phenomenal.
Yeah, I know my son played JV tennis here in town, and I can appreciate that the varsity maybe needs pristine courts. Madison maybe doesn't. We do, but the point is, I don't think the JV does.
Just need a net and lines. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of room for compromise. So hope we can get something done.
Okay, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, Councilman Cogan, just as a matter of full disclosure, that New Providence team you cited is a championship team, if I'm not mistaken.
Thank you.
Hi.
I'm here to, I'm an avid tennis player, play pickleball through the rec program this year, and it's really a great program. It's easy to learn.
Excuse me,
It's good.
can you just state your name and address for the record?
Sure. Carol Leonardson, and I'm Fairmont Road.
Thank you.
And just earlier today, I was playing at Tatlock is double line for tennis and pickleball. It's really not a problem. It's not a problem. It just seems to work. Initially you change, and change is hard for people, but I think, well, if it's approached positively, then I think double lining can work. The peak times, Mike asked me to talk about, just to talk about peak times. The courts are stuffed. At night, full, and on the weekends, all the times that the reservations are available, the courts are really busy. So, again, maybe the capital allocation for the dedicated pickleball courts could be really used. And I don't know if I said it, but aside from being a good thing for seniors because it's so easy to play, it's really good for families too, because you can get young kids out there, and, parents and kids. It's really an easy sport for families to play together. So, but I also wanted to comment, we recently had our road redone, and whoever did our road did a great job. We don't have any storm drains, and so when it would rain before, We didn't have curbs, and whenever it would rain, we just have big fat puddles. And so as they were doing this, we're like, there was a plan that the water was all going to flow one way and go in this little paper stream. And with this rain, it's working great. So
Good,
whatever,
good to hear.
whatever company did our road did a really good job.
We spent a lot of money on roads and trying to take care of the storm management piece, so, yeah, it's good to hear, thank you.
Yeah, and I think there's different companies doing different pieces.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say, the different crews that go,
Yeah, so
like Savannah does one, or Top Line or whatever, and then they have a landscaper come in, and they have a Belgian block guy come in.
yeah, but I just wanted to particularly say whatever crew worked on our
Yeah.
road did an exceptional job.
Good, I'm glad to hear that, thank you,
And then,
Carol.
may I just do more things?
Sure.
About the website, if
Mhm.
you have this notification thing you can sign up for.
Yes.
If you could put minutes on there, I think that would be very helpful too. I'd read them if they were coming to me.
It will have minutes.
Will it?
right?
Okay, I didn't see that on the list.
I think it's
Yeah,
agenda
it's-
minutes.
There's minutes for every board and.
Right.
Like in the
No, an alert.
notification,
A
like it said, you could get a notification.
Right.
I'd read them if they were, coming to me more regularly. And I also, I don't know where affordable housing was gonna fit, but I think that, that's becoming a pretty hot topic. And people are very sensitive to what's going on. And so if that was, somewhat prominent, that might be helpful.
Yeah, I think there is affordable housing on
There's a
this.
section.
But, the 2025, the state is gonna review it, so
Yeah.
we haven't
yeah,
heard anything yet. so,
Yeah. Maybe you have plans, but I just thought I'd.
yeah. Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah, Bobby.
Wow, this is weird being on this side. Norwich 117 Sherwood Drive. First, it's a great idea to have both sides of the road done because Sherwood wasn't done that way. You and I knew it. And we were like, there wasn't budget in the town. So one half of the road is falling up and the other half is sort of
I
falling.
have that on Greenwood.
Yeah, so I think it's great that it makes sense. Pay a little bit extra money and they're doing half of it.
You
for
have to
free.
reallocate a lot of things,
Yeah.
but Bernadette say, what this kind of
That's great.
stuff, so.
That makes sense. So on, two things on the pickleball. I also took a rec program, actually 2 sessions this winter, and it was great. Well done. And she took the second, and so now all of a sudden we're playing pickleball, and as everybody said, okay, where do we play? This is the, I don't know if you can read this, but I have to belong to Berkeley Heights to be able to play pickleball. And that doesn't go real well. As you
You're
know,
pioneers.
we've talked about
You're
it. and that-
pioneers,
yeah. So anyway, it's one of those things, it will come around. And one of the things I'd like to know is right now, the rec master plan, I think is, and you just said that there was some money allocated towards courts and all that. Is there an update on where that is and where that's going?
We would put it by the tennis courts because they're already.
Yeah,
done.
yeah.
Next
So-
to
But I mean, in the
next to
sense of
hitting wall.
timing, and because I
Yeah.
know you and I were speaking, and I knew you're looking for some grant money, but it'd be good to just get an update once in a while on where the direction's going, I guess. Now, who's got that? Is that you, Pete, because it's rec, or is it Alex
It's
because
me.
it's public
It's me
works?
with Bernadette, but I
Okay.
think the location is near the hitting wall, kind of behind the tennis
Yeah.
courts.
The monolith?
The model.
Yeah.
There's a lot of improvements that have to be made there with the pathway and things like that,
Drainage.
drainage. So
Yeah.
I think the allocation this year is just the engineering, just to get it to a bid, to a bid process.
So right now, just to interject, the rec master plan is almost at completion. Our borough planner is finishing that up for us.
Kinley?
Finally, yeah. We've looked all over the borough as to, what would be the best spot. And at this point, the best spot is by the tennis
Makes
courts,
sense,
right?
'cause you got the pool lot.
Exactly. So generally the way it works is, if we apply for a grant, at the same time, we would be allocating money for the project for, not this year because we've already done this budget, but,
Right.
as we start the budgeting process in the fall, we already have the $50,000 set aside from this year, and then we would get a better idea of how much it's actually going to cost for the project, and then allocate that money in next year's capital project.
That'd be great. Yeah. So like, like if Mike started out and Carol said, something temporary to get us through until we get the courts would be great, and it'd be greatly appreciated. So I don't know how you would be addressing that, who you get talking about it, but you can always give
I know we
any of us a
already,
call.
I've talked to Bernadette Allison already, so they're looking at
Yeah,
different
I mean about
options.
the temporary solution. If you
Yeah.
have go back and forth, but if you want to get some people together, feel free to contact me and Mike and anybody, and
Is
you all know how to get me.
is it fair to assume that 2 tennis courts will give you 4 pickleball courts with your lines, and that would be enough to hold you over?
I would think so. Yeah, yeah. I think that's about has got that, and who else does? I don't know. Westfield.
So
Well,
I've got.
North. Thank you.
Okay, Bobby.
My name's Lenore Kiss. I live at 165 Saga 2. I'm new to the rec department's pickleball and an incredible, just wonderful. But prior to that, I've been playing for 4 years in Westfield at Tamaqua Park. And that's where Westfield High School hosts all their tennis matches because their high school doesn't have tennis courts. Their solution, they painted the courts, they painted the lines within the tennis courts, but we have to use a tennis side. We don't have the lower net, if you will, although our rec department, I think that's from the rec department, those portable nets. So we could bring our own and place them where they need to be. But just to get started, and I'll be honest, I play every Wednesday at Tamaqua Park, and we play on tennis courts, but within our lines. And you don't know the difference really, because if you're playing, you're playing, But it really is, for the seniors here, as Bob said, or Mike said, or somebody said, it's such a phenomenal sport. It keeps us all here. I started to come back and see people I haven't seen in years because our kids are out of the school system. And even that part of it is just like, wow, I mean, this is like really lovely, and it makes you feel part of the community again. Sometimes you get away from the kids are not here anymore. So if there's anything that we can do to help just get a few courts going and stay here, that would just be wonderful. But that's Westfield's solution, what they do. So
Thank
much.
you, Lenore.
I'm so excited to try pickleball now. I'm like, you're really
I'm
hyping it up.
Lisa,
really
I'm
are.
hearing a fundraiser for beautification.
Yeah, I gotta figure out how to get this in there.
Lee DeVita, I live at 30 Kendrick Road. Both my husband and I really enjoyed taking the rec lessons beginner, and then we took the intermediate, and then the problem is, where do we play? So you gave us the instructions,
Just a
but we
taste.
need a place to go. So we're paying to be members in Berkeley Heights. Berkeley Heights has figured it out, other towns have figured it out, and we can too. Because to wait for funding to build separate pickleball courts, that might be great, but what in the meantime? Why not just stripe a couple courts? That's what other towns have done, and you're just play. Thank you.
So in Berkeley, it's, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, they have, or Mr. Lesenwich, they have a lockbox where they keep all their nets, or no, they don't do that anymore? It's open now? Okay,
They just have portable nets.
got it.
That has been donated by the manufacturers.
Gotcha.
But there's 2 courts that have been dedicated.
Right, I know those, yeah, to pickleball only. So assuming for the 4 courts, if we, hypothetically speaking, if we allocate 4 or reline 4 courts, would you bring your own nets, or would you want us to store nets there, or? Yeah.
Well, you said that Westfield uses the tennis nets. Yeah. I mean, that means you have to take nets down and.
No, if they use the, yeah. Go ahead.
At Tatlock Field, and they have nets that are right there, and so all you do is roll them
Roll
right
them
out.
over, okay.
Okay, they've got 4 of them that way. It's interesting that you asked though about Madison. Madison does it a little differently. Remember, they're the ones with the 6 tennis courts and so potentially 12 pickleball courts, painted. They've got a shed where they keep their portable nets, much like the ones that are in the rec department here.
Mhm.
They're just in a bag. You bring out you go in the shed, you get the bag, and then you put up the net and take it down when you're done, obviously.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
and I think the nets run, I'm not a great shopper here, but maybe $60 or $70 a net for a decent net, but something in that ballpark. So, thanks.
Thank you for all your suggestions. We always encourage people to suggest ideas, and it's great to see all you guys come out and suggest this. So, little research.
Is there
and
enough
Well,
for each of us?
Like as I said, pickleball's been on the radar, so,
It has been.
I mean, I'm not oblivious, council's not oblivious that it's the up and coming sport, so I'm gonna do it,
Yeah.
maybe.
Like a council against mayor.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, I bet.
I have someone that can teach.
Yeah. Okay, anyone else? Yes, Alan.
Swanson, 47 Overhill Road. All I have to say about pickleball is Carol has encouraged me to get involved with pickleball. And once I get off my bicycle, I'll get over there. Which brings up that when I ride around in different towns and I drive past the tennis courts in Mountainside and all over, there's a lot of pickleball going on, I can tell you that. So anyway, I want to talk about the library board first.
Well, we have nothing to do with them.
I just want to make a
Okay.
comment. Well, yes, you do. You appoint them, and they're here.
But they're a separate
and,
entity.
and Lisa.
Okay, go ahead.
And what I wanted to say is, I went to the meeting, and I've gone to a lot of meetings since the mid '70s. I mean, Maryland in state meetings, state board meetings, county meetings, Board of Education meetings, a lot of meetings. I've never gone to a library board meeting. And this was really quite a wonderful experience. Just really a great group working very well together and coming up with a really excellent result in terms of the issue that Lisa mentioned. And I told them that. I think it's particularly good, and what I said there was that in New Jersey, well, across the country, but in New Jersey as well, and not far away from us, there are groups that are moving towards trying to ban, restrict books, and even discussion of history and what have you. So I think that the decision that they made there was excellent. One thing I wanted to add was that the board also expressed their resolve, I guess, put it, that they had no intention of entertaining the notion of banning books in the future, and we're considering, going to consider a resolution in the future similar to ones that have been passed by a number of library boards and states, basically saying that we're just not in favor of the notion of banning books. So I look forward to that discussion in the future. And I thought Lisa did an excellent job of presenting the committee's report at that meeting. The second thing I'd like to talk about is the last meeting that I came to. The individual who spoke, I brought up a number of years now that I have a rather severe hearing loss, and I'm pretty much dependent on I am dependent on my hearing aids, and pretty much am functionally deaf without them. I didn't understand most of what he had to say at that meeting. I mean, you noticed I moved over here a little bit better view. I have brought this up many, many times. I'm not sure what you want me to do. Should I raise my hand? Should I stand up? What should I do? When Matt, I hate to bring you up, but when Matt talks from the back of his chair, it's hard to understand what he's saying. Some of you have mentioned that in the past. You can say anything you want to, Mayor Morgan, because I never have any trouble hearing you. It's an issue. I mean, someone came in who didn't have the technology that I mean, these things on my ears cost me $7,000. I'm able to have that, but many people aren't. And if someone came in that had a similar hearing loss to what I have, they would have a very difficult time here. And I think I'm just trying to point out that it's very important to have an excellent system and to use it. And I've mentioned a number of times the Board of Education system, which is excellent, and they use it. And the reason is they've got a light in front of them telling them that microphone is on. And so they pay attention to it. And I've never had trouble when I've gone to the Board of Education meeting.
Is it just a matter of us speaking into the mic? Because
well,
if
that
that's
would be
the
a good
case,
start.
then just let us, just
I mean, the
let
problem
us
is that
know.
people will come up and the mic will be over here. And I know that you guys are getting way, way better at saying, would you use the mic? All of you, you've done it. It's really, and I appreciate it. But it's something that, you need to be reminded, because it's something, as I've mentioned in the past, what I have is this invisible disability. No one knows that I have it unless they see the hearing aids, or they're asking me what time it is and I'm telling them what's for lunch.
Well, I think maybe a good thing, if you can't hear Matt, raise your hand and wave your hand, and then he knows to go speak into the microphone.
I'll put the sign on. Yeah, speak into the mic.
That's fine.
Okay. I think, and something that you need to keep in mind, that in the future, in the past, this has been brought up and said, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it was mentioned that, I've said, what if somebody who's totally deaf came in and said, we would get somebody to interpret. And of course, I've pointed out to you that, my mother was deaf. I'm pretty much at this point deaf. I don't have a clue about sign language. You could bring in a sign interpreter and they could be speaking Greek, as they say. But one system that is working right now is real-time closed captioning. And you might someday get to that point. There are lots of places where it's being used. When I go to the Hearing Loss Association meetings, a large screen up on the wall there with with real-time captioning. It's not something that you just plug in and it does it. And it's a services that there are people who are trained to do it. At any rate, I'm not asking you, but it's something that's out there that you should just be aware of in the future if you had someone else.
Well, we're talking about AI, maybe they'll come up with something,
Yeah, well then they'll be making up other voices.
Yeah, well,
That's true.
Okay. One more thing I want to say. I know that you're going to be putting in bike racks over here, and I think that that's really great.
We're not.
That's not us.
We're not.
That's not us.
That's the business association. The
I know that the
landlord.
business association is putting in.
Erstad Biddle, the
Yeah.
developer for the shopping center, is
Right.
putting in the bike racks.
Okay.
I never pronounce it correctly.
Well, then,
so.
then let me. My point was going to be that when they put the bike racks in and you see them, I'm sure they've decided what they're going to put in. I can tell you that there are bike racks and there are bike racks. The bike racks over at the library are non-functional, useless bike racks. The same one that's on the side of the building over here. The technology now, the cost of the bikes, they're just not. I would never put my bike. I have a relatively inexpensive electric bike that costs $1,000. I would not lock my bike in one of those bike racks, simply because it's just not safe. It just wouldn't work. Somebody just comes and just take the tire off and take the rest of the bike. So I'm going to be lobbying you on those racks in the town in the future. And one of the things I'm going to do is point out to you what really good, safe, current technology is with regard to bike racks. So that was the only thing. I just wanted to use the opportunity to the fact that they're actually putting them across the street here. Hopefully they're going to be good ones. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Al.
Anyone else we should? Why not?
Carol Leonardson, 58 Fairmont Road again. I, my experience with this, with pickleball is that there's a lot of seniors playing, and a lot of the games and stuff are like off-peak hours. So I think if we do line the courts, I think we're gonna find that the courts are getting used during the off-peak hours a whole lot more than they are now. In addition, I've been a volunteer with the Tennis Association for a number of years, and our membership is just growing and growing. And so I'm just trying to say, it'd be great if the restaurant could get a makeover, because there's just a lot of traffic going on, and I think if you do line the courts, there's going to be even more people there. And I know the town is very, we fix things up. We don't necessarily need to get all brand new facilities. And so I just wanted to offer that as well.
Okay, thank you. John, you're up.
John Kane, 54 Newdale Drive. Good evening, kids. There were a couple things I just wanted on resolutions 194 and 198. First one was the list, and Councilman McKnight did a good job of highlighting the two big issues. But for the last resolutions that I've seen that I looked at going back months, that resolution says there's always an attached list. There's never an attached list. So I would ask in the list so we can take a look at it. That's item number one. And on 198, on that resolution hiring, I guess it was a resolution to hire Scott Ruff. The resolution was essentially blank. It didn't have the date of the proposal. It had an amount of $20,000, but there's no detail about what he was going to do, who he is, how he was vetted. I did some research and found out that he was involved with the borough back in 2014. But that's the only reference I got. So,
Well, like I explained, he was the one who implemented the operation of the dispatch center when it opened.
and I guess my point is that something should have been in the resolution, because if I did the research, but if somebody didn't, so I'm just suggesting if we're going to do it forward,
Okay.
Because otherwise it means you have to go to the meeting to find out what this is, or listen to the meeting afterwards, and it's after the fact.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Actually, I think the finance report is usually attached to the agenda. So I don't know if that was just something that's not there now.
It was not.
Just
Okay.
attached for council.
Okay.
Kathleen Dolan, 12 Laurel Drive. First of all, I'm so excited about the website. So I can't wait for July 5th. Want to be your first customer. It looks really great. And I'm sure there will be bugs like there is with anything, but it's a really much, 100% improvement from what I can see. And thanks for doing that presentation. So that was helpful. Completely switching gears, I would like to speak to the issue of gun safety in New Providence. There was a gun violence incident 3 days ago in Summit. On Saturday morning, June 24th, a group of men had an argument that led to one of the men taking a loaded gun out of his backpack and shooting another man 3 times. I read that the victim it was in critical condition after surgery, and the perpetrator was subsequently arrested in Plainfield. This is another in a series of concerning examples of how our area is being impacted by the soaring rate of handgun permits, concealed carry permits, and overall firearm possession, both legal and illegal. On June 4th at Veterans Park here in New Providence, the mayor and several council members attended a Wear Orange gun violence awareness event with over 50 New Providence residents, a student, gun violence, and New Jersey Assemblywoman Linda Carter. We talked about how the situation is impacting the community. We talked about the fact that guns are now the leading cause of death for children and teens in our country, and the third leading cause of death for children and teens in New Jersey. This should be very worrying for all of us. In 2019, there were only 29 handgun permit requests and 28 handgun permit approvals in New Providence. Since the pandemic began in 2020, do you recall how many handgun permit requests and approvals there have been in New Providence? We talked about it at Wear Orange, but it's hard to remember because it's so shocking. 460 requests and over 400 approvals, 5 times what we saw just 4 years ago. What about concealed carry permits? 22 Bruin decision repealing the requirement to provide justification for concealed carry permits. New Providence approved at most 1 per year. Do you recall how many concealed carry permits have been approved since then? It's more than 18. So obviously, a huge spike in the prevalence of firearms in our community, and the recent gun violence incidents around our area create a public safety issue that should be on everyone's mind. So I'd like to ask if you could please provide an update on any borough-led initiatives to promote responsible gun ownership in our community.
Well, what do you suggest?
The question.
Well, I'm asking you a question. You're talking about laws that we have all over. Gun laws are done by the federal government and the state government, not by the municipalities. So we just have to follow the law. And I'll hand over to Mr. Rizzo. Am I correct in that?
Yes, and I'm in the middle of one right now. I mean, as soon as somebody gets denied, they appeal it to Superior Court.
Right.
And I've noticed the last 2 appeals, they go to the same law firm getting people guns. And I can tell in the current one, we had one court was with the judge. First thing the judge looks at me and says, well, you got a tough one on this one. The court decisions have gone so much toward ownership. It's very, very difficult. And there's really nothing. The chief of police has an investigation. The chief of police makes a determination. And it's just very difficult to deny. And when they do deny, then they take it up, and then the courts allow it. I don't know what we can do.
Kathleen,
So, go ahead.
Out of the that you mentioned that spiked up, how many of them are new permits? Or are they? I believe every time you get a new gun, so they're not an original owner. It could be a gun.
Yeah.
But there's no way of knowing. Are they new or just people adding on?
No, well, no, unfortunately, there's no,
'Cause it'd be
universal
interesting to know
registry.
people that never got a gun.
I mean, you can get a permit approved and never buy a gun.
Right.
And then it expires, and then you've got to get
Reapply.
another permit. But you could maybe decide not to buy the gun at all. So this is, indicative of probably most of those people intended to buy a gun and they bought one.
I would agree.
Is there like, after you get the permit, then you have to register your gun?
Absolutely.
So then
There's no like database that you can get through Oprah or anything to find out how many guns are actually out there and who owns them.
I think we're really happy is that during COVID, people got scared. They didn't know what was going to happen. They saw these riots in the cities, people screaming defund the police. They didn't know what to do. And they got scared. And they went out and purchased guns. As a municipality, a local government, there's nothing we can do except follow the guidelines. And I know the chief has. And he kept me informed. He said gun permits and domestic violence went up exponentially over COVID. So, I mean, we were aware of it, but our hands are tied. There's nothing we, as a council, can do. We have to follow the state and federal laws. I mean, myself, I don't even own a gun. I've never fired a gun. Need to. I mean, if I have a problem, I know I have police there within 2 minutes. But, you know, there is a Second Amendment, and the courts rule a certain way. If I like it or not, it doesn't matter. I by the Constitution of the United States and by the state of New Jersey. So.
Okay.
So as as Mayor Al said, we do look to residents first. You know, do you recommend anything within our guidelines and within of what we have the capabilities of doing?
Sure. I mean, I belong to Monster Man Action for Gun Sense in America, and there's a million things you can do that don't involve laws. So a lot of it is around education and communication, trying to avoid acts. Some of these things are happening unintentionally. Securely storing your weapon. The weapons are out there. Nobody's gonna, it's rare if somebody's gonna get rid of it. But as long as it's in your home, it's dangerous. So just like everything else that you've talked about tonight, working with the community, engaging them, letting them know what's out there, sharing these statistics so people know what's going on is a place to start. But, I just wanted to know if you had actually started looking into some of the ways to try to convey these messages yet. But like, I understand what you're saying.
So back in, when was the Green Fair? Oh, can I ask you, when was?
April 22nd.
Okay. So back in April, that was, the police had their police and community together on the other side of Borough Hall. They were giving out handgun locks that day. And I don't know if that came with literature that went with it. But
Yeah, I
they
gave
were
them
giving
some
that out.
gun
So
locks
our-
and some literature.
Our police have been giving out literature and handgun locks
For years.
for years,
That-
but
that's been happening for
particularly the
years
most
and years and
recently
years.
that I recall, that was done at that event.
But I think we should engage the chief of police to see what measures he could take in educating the public.
Okay.
And I know a lot of
They have
people
started
who, in the state of New Jersey, has some of the toughest gun laws in the country. And I know some people who are gun owners are very particular with how they treat their guns, and they go overboard. So with being careful and education, and if you have a gun, you go to all those training classes.
If the police are already handing out locks, they might be the best way to approach it is through the chief.
Definitely. So they've already started with doing that. So I'm sure they have other things as well that they're working on. So we can research that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I have a suggestion related to what it is true that the law and the reason that in the situation we're in is the Braun Supreme Court decision that in New York that influenced concealed carry and basically said that you can pretty much carry your concealed weapon anywhere. And the New Jersey law was passed that said, restricted that rather significantly, where you could carry the concealed carry weapons. And then, of course, the judge overruled portions of that, and that's continue in the courts, and we'll see where that ends up. So that, and reinstating the New Jersey law prevented you from bringing a concealed weapon into a church, into a restaurant, into a bar, into some sporting events. And the judge overturned that portions of it and said that, yes, you can take it into a church. Yes, you can take it into a bar with alcohol, and yes, you can take it into a restaurant. The important thing, and the thing that you can do, or all of us can do, is that any private owner of any business can say concealed weapons are not, we don't accept weapons in this facility. Anybody, I don't know, name, any diner, any restaurant could put a sign out there. Don't carry your gun in this facility. I have spoken with one owner about that very topic, and the response was, it's a big issue with a number, particularly restaurants, and their concern is the backlash from people who carry their concealed carry weapon into their facility. And they're concerned about that. Something that could be done by all of us is that we could support those institutions, those privately owned businesses that want to put a sign out that says, don't bring your gun into my facility. Just as I can sell it in my home, I can don't bring your gun into my home. Allowed to do that under the laws in this state. And we could encourage them by just supporting those who say, put a sign up, don't bring your gun in. It's just a suggestion. It's not, it's a very, very difficult, thorny issue. I understand. It's just difficult, but that is just one thing that I know that the concern on the part of the business owner, the backlash that they would get. And if we were just saying, there's no reason to carry a gun into the church. Carry a gun into the church for some reason. I don't know in New Jersey that we feel that way. So, all right, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else wishing to address council? Seeing no one, I declare the public hearing closed. I need a motion on 1 through 20, please.
So moved.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Belitska,
Aye.
Mr. DeSarno,
Aye.
Mr. Kaminsky,
Aye.
Mrs. Jeffroy,
Yes.
Mr. Kogan,
Yes.
Mrs. McKnight.
Yes.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
No, so be it. And before I leave, happy Independence Day to everybody, and enjoy the fireworks July 3rd. And thank you for your comments tonight.